Redeemed Vader. Star Wars Infinity's Return of the Jedi is a 4-part comic and is part of the larger Star Wars Infinity series. The Infinity's comics were alternate versions of the events depicted in the original Star Wars film trilogy. In the story at the Palace of Jabba the Hutt, Leia Organa attempted to win the gangster's trust by disguising herself as a bounty hunter and offering up the captive Wookiee Chewbacca, Han Solo's loyal companion, to the gangster, planning to use Chewie to negotiate Han Solo's release. However, after Leia demanded a payment of 50,000 credits and refused to go lower, Jabba struck the protocol droid C-3PO, knocking him down so hard that his head came off. With her translator gone, Leia had no way to communicate with the Hutt and was forced to reveal her true identity to everyone in the room. She drew a thermal detonator and threatened to set it off unless Jabba agreed to free Solo. Lando Calrissian, working undercover in the palace, spotted the bounty hunter Boba Fett reaching for his weapon and shoved Fett. The blow sent a blaster shot into Leia's elbow, accidentally leading to the triggering of the thermal detonator. As the panicked crowd scattered, Boba Fett grabbed the carbonite slab containing the frozen Han Solo and hauled it away, with Leia and Chewbacca giving chase, but they failed to stop his escape. Out of options, Leia, Lando, and Chewbacca fled the palace just before the thermal detonator exploded and destroyed the structure. C-3PO was destroyed in the blast, and Jabba was killed as well. Meanwhile, Boba Fett loaded Solo onto his ship, the Slave One, and escaped the desert world of Tatooine. Taking control of Jabba's sail barge, the group met up with Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 out in the desert. They decide to search the local smuggler haunts to track down where Fett had taken Han. On Dagobah, Yoda died and became one with the Force before Luke could return. Palpatine, Vader, and Luke all felt his passing at the same time, and Luke left Tatooine for Dagobah to learn what had happened while Palpatine ordered Vader to do the same. When Luke reached Dagobah, he found Yoda already dead, but both Yoda and Obi-Wan appeared to him as spirits. They confirmed what Vader had claimed, that Vader was Luke's father, and revealed that Leia was Luke's sister. They told Luke he had to confront and defeat Vader, but when Luke refused, they warned that if he could not, then Leia would have to. Unwilling to put his sister in danger, Luke finally agreed and, knowing he had to face Vader alone, had R2-D2 record a message for Leia and sent it off to the rebellion. Meanwhile, Leia, Chewbacca, and Lando tracked Boba Fett to a Force-Stead world in the Outer Rim territories. Fett planned to hand the carbonite frozen Han back over to the Empire, but Leia and the others managed to stop him, killing Fett in the fight that followed. They then left the planet with Leia at the controls of Fett's ship and set course for the Rebel gathering point near Sullust. After departing Dagobah, Luke was captured by an Imperial Star Destroyer and taken to the second Death Star, which hung in orbit over the forest moon of Endor. Brought before the Emperor, Luke listened as Palpatine revealed he knew Luke was hoping his friends would stay away rather than attempt a rescue. The Emperor then showed Luke that his friends, should they come to help him, would be flying into a massive Imperial fleet lying in wait. Aboard the Rebel flagship Home 1, Han Solo was finally freed from the carbonite, but the medics told Leia that the long freeze and the damaged controls meant he would likely never see again. Lando then readied the Millennium Falcon for an assault on the second Death Star, an attack set to begin once a Rebel team on Endor's moon knocked out the station's protective energy shield. Before the fleet departed for Endor, Mon Mothma, one of the rebellion's leaders, called the group to the war room to hear Luke's recorded message revealing that Leia was his sister, that Vader was their father, and that he had been captured and taken to the Death Star, and that no rescue should be attempted. On Endor, the strike team reached the bunker housing the shield generator, but a large force of stormtroopers and AT-STs suddenly appeared, forcing the rebels into a fight. Back aboard the Home 1, Leia stole the Slave One and set off to rescue Luke herself. With no other choice, the entire Rebel fleet jumped into hyperspace and followed her. Realizing what had happened, Han asked Lando if he and Chewbacca could come along aboard the Falcon. Reaching the Death Star, Leia fought her way past the guards but was eventually overpowered and brought before Palpatine. She arrived just in time to watch the Rebel fleet drop out of hyperspace and get ambushed by the waiting Imperial forces while they held position for the ground team to destroy the shield. The Battle of Endor had thus begun. On the forest moon, the fighting spilled close to Bright Tree Village, alarming its inhabitants, the Ewoks. As the rebels threw themselves at the shield bunker in a desperate assault, the Ewoks leapt into the fray, attacking both sides. Once the shield generator was partially damaged, the Millennium Falcon dove toward the moon's surface. After Chewbacca was hurt by pursuing TIE fighters, the still blind Han took his place at the quad laser turrets, and together they destroyed the shield generator dish. Wedge Antilles then led a group of X-Wing fighters deep inside the Death Star and destroyed its main reactor. Lando then turned the Falcon back toward the station to rescue Luke and Leia. Inside the Death Star, Palpatine ordered Vader to kill Leia, but Luke intervened, drawing his lightsaber and engaging his father in a duel. Vader overpowered him, and the Emperor demanded Luke join them or die. When Leia tried to step in, Palpatine struck her down with Force Lightning. Still refusing the Emperor's offer, Luke revealed to Vader that Leia was also his child. The revelation stunned Vader, but he insisted it was too late for him, and the duel resumed. Luke eventually overpowered Vader and cut off his arm, yet the Dark Lord remained strong enough to overpower Luke. Luke then declared he would fight no longer, telling Vader that if he meant to strike down both him and Leia, he should do it now. Instead, Vader fell to his knees and begged forgiveness, turning away from the dark side and becoming Anakin Skywalker once more. A massive explosion then shook the station, and as everyone aboard scrambled to evacuate, the Emperor slipped away. Luke and Leia carried their wounded father to the hangar bay, where Lando waited with the Falcon, and the whole group escaped just before the Death Star was destroyed. Later, aboard the Home One, Luke warned Mon Mothma that Palpatine had vanished and remained a danger. The heroes, including a redeemed Anakin Skywalker, now a Jedi and dressed in an all-white version of the life support suit he had worn as Vader, agreed to help the rebels hunt him down, with Luke confident the Emperor stood no chance. Vader's Vision. In the 5th issue of the 2017 Darth Vader comic series, the Emperor orders Vader to a dark side locus inside a cave to corrupt a kyber crystal, the Force-attuned gem that powers a lightsaber, by flooding it with his pain and anger until it bleeds, turning it red. Inside the cave, Vader found a circular stone table and took apart a lightsaber, but when he pulled out the green kyber crystal within, a powerful wave of energy consumed him. Following the energy blast, Vader began to have doubts about his path to the dark side and reassembled the lightsaber. He returned to the Emperor on Coruscant carrying the green lightsaber, and the Emperor, seeing that Vader had not given himself over to the dark side, attacked his apprentice. Vader beat him in a duel, then set out to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hoping to make up for the wrongs he had committed, Vader knelt before Kenobi. Kenobi raised his lightsaber to kill him, but hesitated, switched it off, and called Vader by his old name, Anakin. However, this was revealed to be a vision rather than reality. Waking from it, Vader concluded there was no return from the Sith path. He recommitted fully to the dark side and used it to force the kyber crystal to bend to his will. Unburned Emperor Vader. The 2005 video game adaptation of Star Wars Episode III Revenge of the Sith included an alternate ending exclusive to its Xbox and PlayStation 2 versions. Once players finished the main story, they could replay the final level as Darth Vader during his climactic lightsaber duel against his former mentor Obi-Wan Kenobi on the planet of Mustafar. The fight unfolds exactly as it does in the film right up until the final moment. Rather than being defeated, Anakin Skywalker successfully leaps over Obi-Wan's superior position on the high ground, kills him with a strike from behind, and kicks his body toward the lava. Because Anakin is never maimed or burned, he never becomes the scarred machine-assisted figure encased in the iconic black armor that defined him in the original story. Palpatine then arrives on Mustafar, exiting his shuttle to greet his apprentice and declaring that no enemies remain, meaning that the galaxy now belongs to the two of them. He presents Anakin with a new lightsaber as a gift, but the act of killing his old master emboldened Anakin, and he immediately turns on Palpatine and kills him, proclaiming himself the galaxy's new ruler. The clone troopers nearby raise their weapons at him, but hold their fire. Game writer Jeremy Barlow theorized that a galaxy ruled by Anakin would likely turn out worse than one under Palpatine, since Palpatine at least governed according to a consistent internal logic that Vader lacked. General Darth Vader. Dark Horse Comics' The Star Wars was an 8-issue series that adapted George Lucas's original 1974 rough draft screenplay for the original Star Wars film. The story follows young Anakin Starkiller and his father, Kain Starkiller, a former Jedi Bendu, as they leave their homeworld of Utapau in the Kessel system and head for Aquili, a planet that remains independent of the new galactic empire. In this version of the story, Anakin Starkiller is trained by an older Luke Skywalker who takes on Obi-Wan's mentor role. Darth Vader is a very different figure in this story. Rather than being related to the protagonist or sensitive to the Force, he is simply General Darth Vader, a human Imperial military officer. Vader serves the Galactic Empire under Emperor Kos Dashit, but his loyalty serves his own ambitions. Together with Governor Crispin Hodak and their ally on the Supreme Tribunal, Vantos Kall, Vader plotted to overthrow the Emperor. This move hinged on how the campaign for Aquili played out. General Vader is a decorated officer of the Imperial Space Force marked by facial scarring and a red cybernetic left eye. He commands the Empire's forces as well as the massive Space Fortress, a deadly battle station. Beyond that, he is given free rein to deploy the Knights of the Sith, a ferocious warrior sect and ancient rivals of the Jedi Bendu. The central plot follows Vader's invasion of Aquili, which is ruled by a king that had thus far escaped Imperial control. Hodak tells Vader that capturing a member of the royal family is essential to controlling the planet since the royal line has ruled its people for 10,000 years. Without a puppet ruler on the throne, the Empire would get no cooperation in stealing Aquili's biotic technology, including advanced genetics research and cloning technology. After a swift assault on the planet's defenses, Vader directs his forces to seize Princess Leia, the surviving heir, as the key to holding the conquered system. Later in the story, after Leia is captured, Anakin dons stormtrooper armor to infiltrate the Space Fortress and rescue her, but he is captured in the process. A largely off-screen Vader orders Valorum to kill Starkiller, but Valorum has a change of heart and sets him free instead. Starkiller rescues Leia and escapes just in time as Luke Skywalker leads a squadron of fighters piloted by Wookiees to destroy the Space Fortress. The station's destruction kills both Vader and Governor Hodak. Yoda Killer Vader. In the Infinities retelling of The Empire Strikes Back, events diverge when Han Solo finds Luke Skywalker in the snowy wastes of Hoth. In this version of events, Solo's Tauntaun dies before Han can reach Luke, and by the time Han finally arrives, it's too late, and Luke, with his final breath, tells Han to train as a Jedi, then dies in his arms. The next day, the Rebel Alliance holds a funeral for Luke. Han tells Princess Leia that he believes he's meant to go to Dagobah and become a Jedi, but the ceremony is cut short when Imperial forces invade. Most of the rebels manage to flee, including Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and the droids R2-D2 and C-3PO aboard the Millennium Falcon. A broken hyperdrive, however, leaves them unable to make a clean getaway from the Hoth system. Slipping past the Imperial ships blockading the planet, the Falcon reaches Bespin. There, they're greeted by Lando Calrissian. Lando doubts Han's claim of being a Jedi, but agrees to repair the Falcon and host them. Back in his office, Lando finds another visitor waiting, the bounty hunter Boba Fett. Lando plays along as Fett is lured into a trap and knocked out in the resulting fight. Lando explains that Fett came on behalf of an employer. Assuming this means the crime lord Jabba the Hutt, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO leave Cloud City once the repairs are done and set course for Dagobah. Soon after, Lando is relaxing in his office, admiring his new desk built from Boba Fett's body, which has been frozen and sealed inside a slab of carbonite. Then Darth Vader arrives in orbit, demanding to speak with the bounty hunter. Lando insists that neither Fett nor the rebels are present, but Vader responds by branding Cloud City a hidden rebel base and obliterates it. A few ships escape, but most of the population dies, including Lando. On the way to Dagobah, Han tries to comfort a visibly distraught Leia, assuming the strain of recent days has finally caught up with her, but in truth she's feeling a disturbance rippling through the Force caused by Cloud City's destruction. When they land, Yoda meets them and bluntly tells the group that it is Leia, not Han, who must be trained as a Jedi. Yoda reveals that Luke was her brother, that her father is Darth Vader, and that he had even known her mother. With great reluctance, Han leaves Dagobah to deal with the price on his head while Leia stays behind to train. 3 months pass as Han scrapes together the money to pay off Jabba the Hutt and Leia grows stronger in the Force. Vader, meanwhile, keeps hunting for his son, unaware that Luke is dead. He rejects every rumor that Luke died at the Battle of Hoth, insisting he can still sense the young man's presence. On Tatooine, Han, Chewbacca, and the droids arrive in the spaceport town of Mos Eisley to settle Han's debt with Jabba the Hutt, using an operator named Vilmar to transfer the money. But Vilmar betrays the group, and Han and the others are seized by Jabba's thugs and hauled off to Jabba's palace, while Villy makes off with the Millennium Falcon. The next evening, Han, Chewbacca, and the droids are dragged before Jabba. No matter how hard Han tries to talk his way out of the situation, the Hutt sentences them to death in a pit beneath the throne room, where they must fight a pair of vicious fanged predators called Nexu. With everyone's eyes on the spectacle, R2-D2 quietly frees Han and Chewbacca, who slip away as the Nexu escape and rampage through the palace, killing many and wounding Jabba. Amid the chaos, Han, Chewie, and R2 commandeer one of Jabba's shuttles, recover the Falcon back in Mos Eisley, and set off for Dagobah to see whether Leia has finished her training. The following day, Darth Vader descends on the wrecked palace with a legion of sandtroopers and demands that Jabba surrender Han and Chewie. Jabba says they've escaped, and he has no idea where they've gone, hoping never to see them again, but Vader's attention lands on something else: C-3PO. He demands his former creation be handed over, and Jabba complies. Taking C-3PO aboard his flagship, Vader reveals himself as the droid's maker and tortures him until he gives up the location of Skywalker on Dagobah. There, Leia is in the final stretch of her training when she senses a lightsaber crystal in a nearby cave. Yoda sends her to retrieve it, telling her she will soon be a Jedi. Moments after she leaves, Vader arrives and orders Yoda to hand over Luke. The two lock into a battle of wills, during which Vader is assailed by the spirits of Jedi he once knew as Anakin, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Mace Windu. In the course of the clash, Vader finally learns the truth that Luke is, in fact, dead. Meanwhile, Leia retrieves the crystal in the cave and fits it into her lightsaber. The moment she does, she's struck by a vision of Yoda in danger and races back, but arrives too late. Through their mental link, Vader has dealt the old Jedi Master a killing blow, breaking Yoda's hold on his mind. Leia and Vader then cross blades, and she cuts off his right arm. Vader offers to let her join him and rule the galaxy at his side, but she refuses. Just as he's about to strike her down, Han and Chewbacca swoop in, and Han fires on Vader as his blaster shot fatally wounds the Sith Lord. In his final moments, Anakin turns away from the dark side, and as Leia removes her dying father's mask to look at his face, Anakin's last words are, "I have a daughter." Before Yoda passes, he urges Leia to teach others what she has learned. Leia then burns her father's body on a funeral pile before she, Han, and Chewbacca depart on the Falcon. Sith Leia's Master. In the Infinities retelling of A New Hope, the events of the story diverge during the Battle of Yavin. As Luke Skywalker makes his attack run, the torpedoes he fires at the Death Star malfunction and fail to destroy the battle station, though they do stop it from immediately obliterating Yavin 4. Unable to charge a full power shot from the Death Star's super laser, Tarkin orders his technicians to fire at reduced power, nearly flattening the temple that serves as the Rebels' headquarters. The Rebels evacuate just in time as, once the Death Star's power is restored, the Imperials fire again and destroy the moon entirely. A squadron of TIE fighters are then dispatched to hunt down the survivors of Red Squadron, the Rebel pilots who flew the assault. Devastated by the failed mission and believing the Rebel base destroyed, Luke is pushed to near madness and turns his X-Wing to face the incoming fighters alone. Han Solo eventually talks him out of the suicidal stand, and the Millennium Falcon escapes into hyperspace with Luke's fighters following close behind. The Rebel fleet, unable to escape the system, falls into Imperial hands. Most of the Rebel leaders are imprisoned aboard the Death Star to await execution, but Princess Leia is singled out and taken to Coruscant. There, she's placed under house arrest at the Emperor's palace. After an audience with the Emperor himself, Darth Vader quietly begins pushing Leia toward the dark side of the Force. Meanwhile, the Millennium Falcon picks up Luke and R2-D2 after they abandon their X-Wing, and tensions boil over when Luke accuses Han of deserting the rebellion as the argument turns physical. In his rage, Luke ignites his lightsaber and nearly kills Han, but he's stopped by the spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who warns Luke that he is slipping toward the dark side. Obi-Wan then tells him to seek out Jedi Master Yoda on the remote swamp world of Dagobah. Han delivers Luke to Dagobah, where the young man begins his training under Yoda, while Han and Chewbacca stay behind to work on repairing the Falcon. 2 months later, Han and Chewbacca depart to finish those repairs elsewhere, promising to return if Luke ever needs a ride. As part of his training, Luke enters the dark side cave, and inside he confronts and strikes down a vision of Vader, only to recoil in shock when he lifts the mask and finds Leia's face beneath it. 5 years pass, and the Empire marks the 5th anniversary of the destruction of the Rebellion and renamed the Death Star the Justice Star, positioning it to eclipse the sun over the capital of Coruscant as a symbol of permanent peace. Leia, now a fully trained Sith, is also able to persuade the dying Emperor Palpatine to reinstate the Imperial Senate. Han and Chewbacca, who have drifted aimlessly around the galaxy in the years since, catch the anniversary coverage in a bar on the rough world of Ord Mantell. Shocked and enraged to learn that Leia is not only alive, but now serves the Empire, Han smashes his chair and draws the attention of bounty hunters and Imperial stormtroopers. He fights his way back to the Falcon, slips past an Imperial fleet in orbit, and sets course for Dagobah. On Dagobah, Luke's training is nearly finished, with one final test: returning to the Dark Cave. This time he faces the shadow of Vader again, but masters his fear and connects fully to the Force. Han arrives as he and Chewbacca join Luke, Yoda, and R2-D2 for dinner, where Han relays everything he learned about Leia and the Empire. Soon after, Yoda reveals that Darth Vader is Luke's father and Leia is his sister. Luke, Yoda, Han, Chewbacca, and R2-D2 fly the Falcon to Coruscant and land on the Justice Star, where Yoda and R2-D2 disembark. Yoda then confronts Tarkin and uses a Jedi mind trick to seize control of the station, which he then turns on the Imperial fleet orbiting the planet, destroying it. Chewbacca then flies the Falcon down to the planet, where Luke and Han move to infiltrate the Emperor's palace. Inside, they fight past several red-cloaked Imperial guards wielding double-bladed lightsabers and a reprogrammed, newly aggressive C-3PO before reaching the Emperor and his 2 apprentices, Darth Vader and Leia. On Palpatine's command, Vader hands his lightsaber to Leia so she can duel Luke. Luke won't kill his sister, but fights her regardless and eventually reaches her rational mind by revealing that he is her brother. As the duel ends and Leia is pulled back from the dark side, the enraged Emperor turns on the twins, hurling Force lightning at them. Before it can kill them, Vader attacks his master in order to save his children. Luke, Leia, Han, and C-3PO escape as the Emperor turns his power on Anakin. The group cut through stormtroopers, reach the Falcon, and flee the planet as Palpatine kills Anakin. Yoda, still steering the Justice Star's orbit through R2-D2, contacts the Emperor to announce he is coming. Just as Palpatine returns to his throne tower to await Yoda, the Justice Star plunges into the planet, destroying both the Emperor and his ultimate weapon. The story ends a few years later on Naboo, where, with the Empire fallen, Leia is named Supreme Chancellor of the New Republic. Dark Dimension Vader. In the 25th issue of the 2017 Darth Vader comic series, during the Fortress Vader storyline, Vader constructs a castle on the volcanic planet of Mustafar with help from the Mask of Lord Momin, an ancient artifact possessed by the spirit of its former owner. The fortress is designed to tap into a dark side locus buried beneath the planet in order to open a portal to the afterlife. Vader's goal was to reunite with his late wife, Padme Amidala. When the castle is finished and he steps through the portal, Vader has an out-of-body experience, and the spiritual form he takes during this journey is often referred to as Dark Dimension Vader. His spirit arrives in a barren otherworldly wasteland where he encounters Force visions of his pregnant mother, Shmi Skywalker, and of Darth Sidious, as it's implied he orchestrated Anakin's conception through the Force. Vader then passes through a series of doorways that lead into pivotal moments from his life, including his days pod racing, building the droid C-3PO, his first meeting with Padme and his mentor Obi-Wan, his Jedi training, and even his future confrontation with his former apprentice Ahsoka Tano on the world of Malachor. Finally encountering Padme in this realm, Vader pleads with Padme to come away with him, but she tells him the man she once loved is gone, then plummets to her death as darkside energy rips her body apart. Consumed by rage and grief, Vader is then confronted by an approaching apparition of his son, Luke Skywalker, who strikes him with a blast of Force energy. Vader awakens at the foot of the mound and plunges his lightsaber into it, sending a storm of dark side lightning surging across the landscape. This experience finally forces him to accept that Padme cannot be brought back, and he thus fully commits himself to the dark side. Dark Dimension Vader has often been framed as a god-tier incarnation representing Vader's full potential. Throughout his journey in this Force realm, this version accomplishes feats such as being many times faster and stronger than the standard Vader, wiping out an entire apparition of the Jedi Council in moments, perceiving and interacting with both past and future, and killing an apparition of Palpatine instantly with empowered red Force lightning. LEGO Jedi Vader. LEGO Jedi Vader is a character from LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, an animated LEGO Star Wars miniseries, and its sequel, Pieces of the Past. Rebuild the Galaxy follows Sig Griebling, an ordinary nerf herder who digs up an ancient relic called the Cornerstone. Activating it scrambles the galaxy's building blocks, reshaping characters, places, species, and institutions beyond recognition, and turning everyone into an alternate version of themselves. One result is a Jedi version of Darth Vader. In the first series, Jedi Vader serves on a weakened and largely ineffective Jedi Council. This version of the Council operates on the edge of a rundown Canto Bight and gets around in a Jawa Walker. In the sequel, Pieces of the Past, Jedi Vader stands among the Jedi fighting a new villain, and the film delivers something the broader Star Wars franchise had never shown before: the entire Skywalker family united together. What other lore videos would you like to see? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to the next video with all of you.